It isn't easy to talk about authors in the video game world, since a team usually develops them with different visions. However, there are some cases where one figure takes charge of the project, giving it his or her vision. Ken Levine is an example. This video will look at his red thread. A narrative thread connects all his works and runs through the themes he explores. We will consider the games where he was involved to the full extent, story structure, writing, leading the project in some shape or form. Also, a video game has an active side that differentiates it from the other narrative media. It's a game, therefore you play it to proceed in the story. Levine is fascinated by the player freedom. A prominent aspect of video games has always been the possibility of the player making his own choices, to choose how to deal with the environment both from a story and an action point of view. To make a general example, you might choose who to help and decide how to fight enemies. In all his games, Levine gives the player a wide variety of tools to deal with the action part. He gives the players a few choices of weapons and powers, giving them total freedom in mixing and matching and developing the equipment they prefer. It means that every single gamer will have the opportunity to find their preferred playing style and use it to deal with a room, a space in the game filled with enemies that need to be disposed of. An example is System Shock 2, set in a cyberpunk future, where you have lots of weapons and powers. But you have to decide which skills to develop to use them. If you want to use big weapons, you'll need more strength. To use your powers, you need to develop your mental ability and so forth. The possibility of using powers is always explained in his games by the story, bringing us to the narrative point of view of the player's freedom. In all his games, Kevin Levine explored the concept of why you become an active part of the narrative, why the protagonist, your character, is doing what he's doing. Levine protagonists are ordinary people thrown in an extraordinary situation where they have to become more than human to survive and escape from the start of the story. They are obliged in a dangerous situation by circumstances and almost immediately contacted by someone that promises to help them get away if they listen to them. However, in every game, there is a plot twist on why you are following their direction that completely changes the perspective of the story you have been actively taking part in, unraveling the fact that the players never had freedom to choose in the story, but just an illusion of it. This approach creates a contrast with the action where they have, as we discussed, total freedom. The most famous example is BioShock. In the game, you are a plane crash survivor called Jack that ends up in Rapture, a city of great technological achievement, devastated by civil war. You are immediately contacted by Atlas, a man that promises to help you escape. However, he has been controlling you from the start through a form of hypnosis, forcing you to do his bidding. This plot device also creates a meta-narrative level commenting on video game itself that always create an illusion of freedom, since every video game is limited and programmed to react to the player's choice and approach. I restrain myself from going any deeper into the plot of BioShock because I would like you that watch this video to try and play it and enjoy the experience for yourself. In the sequel, BioShock Infinite, Levine pushes the idea of freedom to reach its opposite and its extreme, predestination and theory of relativity. The entire game deals with the concept of predestination and the idea of infinite universes, where every time we choose, we create a timeline where we chose differently. The action part reflects this and gives the players fewer tools and powers, preferring a direct confrontation with the enemy instead of the total freedom of playstyle that previous games offered. Levine also deals with political and social issues in his games, like the idea of collectivity, state control, and revolt against the power in charge. Each of his games deal with a community that starts with a vision to improve societies, founding something different, be it a city or human enhancing, to discover that every extreme system creates cracks and disparities. The response is the ruling power becoming violent and paranoid about keeping control, resulting in a revolt from below, creating a shadow of what the setting used to be in its glory days. Levine uses this narrative path to criticize political views like objectivism, American exceptionalism, or corporate lack of obligations. The last thing that all Levine games have in common is the use of characters recording scattered around the game to create both the world you are playing in and a feeling of total immersion. The tapes give the player the possibility to create a timeline of the events of the world. They also offer the point of view of the characters moving in that world. It creates an illusion of history and lore of the environment you are moving in. In System Shock 2, set on a space station, you'll find the crew logs detailing the evolution of the mutation that took over the station, and every member's of the crew's reaction. In all Levine games, the characters have various recordings during the world timeline underlining their evolution and responses. On a personal note, I believe that Levine is one of the people that introduced the idea of art in video game, from a narrative point of view, reflecting on game themselves and the concept of freedom. In the description I'll put a link to a couple of his games. I hope you check them out. Onward to the next author!